When I was a drinker, everything was boring. Nothing was fun. If you watch the Vikings game, you got to be drunk. If you go out and play pool or softball or anything, you got to be drinking to have fun. But once you get sober and once you've had several months or a year or so without drinking, like you don't need the alcohol to have fun. It's called natural bliss, and it feels much much better than the alcohol.
That's the irony of the juxtaposition of the words sports bar. It doesn't really go together to have a sports bar, but people sit and they drink alcohol and they watch television, but that creates a spectator society rather than a participant. So um, I was intrigued about your interest in aluminum and metals. I think the toxic metals that are in our environment are part of that problem too. There's solutions for that. I'm not trying to push any of the various solutions for the metals, but you mentioned the aluminum deodorant, for instance, when people block the basically your sweat glands are the human body's exhaust pipes, if you will, and when you block those with deodorant, ironically, you're packing that into your body and you're preventing your body from releasing those toxins, and it becomes a cycle of the body uh, building up those toxins, not being able to release them, but also you start smelling worse and worse, and you need more deodorant, and those pores never get fully opened up, and that's something that people who don't use deodorant start having a more natural, in my opinion, odor and a better smell, in my opinion. But what did you end up determining in your book about deodorant in particular? And did you find any other things that you decided to remove in terms of uh,
Oh yeah, and the book isn't just about drugs and alcohol and food. The first couple chapters are, I think the first chapter is, drugs, alcohol, and tobacco. So that's the first step if you want to, get yourself to health and wellness is to remove the toxins that you're consuming with food and drink. But then also there's the products that we use, and deodorant is the easiest one. We all grow up as men and women, and your parents just give you some deodorant and then you move on your own, you start buying deodorant. You don't really look at the ingredients. You're just like, well, to live in society and not stink and not have BO, you have to have deodorant. So, it's just you're just kind of suck in that. But yeah, for me, this was just like 2 years ago. I was like, wow, aluminum, I don't need that. So I found a deodorant called Squatch deodorant, and
yeah,
it's aluminum free deodorant, and it actually works and it smells good. But for me, it gave me like some sort of a small rash on my underarm. So then I found the deodorant I use now is called Native. It's like a
mm,
white. I found it at Walmart. You can go to native.com. It's, a little bit expensive, but it lasts and you don't really need to use very much of it. But yeah, I haven't had anybody tell me that I stink lately, but yeah, so I was really happy to, find something so I don't have, those toxins in me because you don't need aluminum. And it's shame on these companies for putting that in there,
right.
and not having alternatives. But yeah, and then also say for instance lotion and makeup and your shampoo and your cleaning products. I mean,
Toothpaste.
yeah, we got to live. I'm not trying to like just tell people, yeah, don't clean, don't wear makeup, don't use deodorant. I'm just saying that, these are conversations that are okay to have to kind of, and makeup. There's a part in the chapter that I wrote about makeup, and as a man, I don't, I feel a little uncomfortable trying to, you know, bring this up because women would be like turned off by that. But no, I'm not saying to not use makeup, but I'm saying maybe do a little research and read what those ingredients are because there's some heavy chemicals in there that are toxic. So maybe you could use less or might maybe find a makeup there's got to be like a toxin free makeup out there. I don't know, but my point is
Probably a
that
health
like
food
the
source.
things that we put on our body also are causing harm to us.
There used to be I think there was lead in that, but I'm not sure. But now of course, there's the industry, the animal testing that's involved in the makeup industry, I think was one factor of that. There's a little bit of a question mark about that. And then makeup can become infected with bacteria in the in its containers and lipstick and so forth and base coat. And uh, as far as appearance goes, I mean, like you say, we're not supposed to have opinions on things like that, but less is more. You
Well, and
notice.
nobody's talking about it. Have you ever heard of anybody talk about the toxins in makeup or lotion? So I'm
Sadly,
just
no.
happy to,
Yeah.
start the conversation, and people can do what they want with it, But yeah, in the book, I did a little research, and I listed off some of the toxins in there. Off the top of my head, I don't remember, but yeah, there's some pretty harmful stuff in some of the makeups out there. And also the cleaning products, and yeah, we got to clean our stuff. But I mean, I have a friend here in this building that I work at, this nice guy. His name is Daniel, and he works hard. And I catch him spraying the windows down, and I was like, yeah, you might want to use a mask, or at some point maybe try to find a different job, because you're I used to be a janitor at one point in my life. I was a janitor. I remember I'd go home and I could taste like the film on my lips from just the spraying of the toilet cleaner and the Windex, and that cannot be too good for you. So, but yeah, I mean, if you're cleaning your house once or twice a week, you're probably fine. I mean, you gotta clean, but just be aware that some of that stuff is toxic, and you might want to use some caution, or maybe consider, yeah, a mask or something. I mean, I don't wear a mask when I'm cleaning my house, but I mean, I just kind of I feel uncomfortable, and that you can feel that mist coming back and you're breathing it in. But we made it this far. I'm
That's it.
46 years old, but I mean, these are just all things that take into consideration, and it's all in the book. And also, you know, the book is two parts. It's in part trying to help people to get to health and wellness, but at the end of the book, there's also a cookbook that I give forth about 18 healthy, inexpensive meals that I cook on a regular basis, just to kind of give people some options out there, because a lot of people, they're so busy that at work, they don't really have much time to do. They think that they got to go home and eat some McDonald's, but that's not really food. And you do need some nutrients. So some people want some simple meals, so I put a lot of real tasty meals in my cookbook. To mention one, it's called bacon wrapped chicken bites. And you just kind of cook up some chicken breasts and cut them up and wrap some bacon around it, throw a little brown sugar on there and cook it up. It's better on the grill, but yes, when you eat that, you might give me a call and thank me, because it's so amazingly good. Not that
I've been
bacon
eating
is the
mostly
best thing for
protein.
you, but it tastes good.
Yeah, I love that straight up protein dose there. I go for protein mostly these days. Increase the red meat and lots of protein. I find a good piece of steak will do me for a whole day. I do intermittent fasting now too, so I give my stomach a rest between meals, long rest. As far as the cleaning agents go, I found white vinegar. Our grandmothers knew about that. White vinegar is a good clean solvent for you can clean. It's a good substitute for just about all of the store-bought brands, and you get a large jug of that for just a couple bucks, and it lasts forever. You can clean your coffee pot, your tea kettle. You can clean sinks and anything. And it also keeps bugs away. It drives the ants away because it messes with their olfactory nerves and they lose their sense of direction. So if people have a problem with ants in their home, a little bit of white vinegar here and there will take care of that. Um, I wanted to ask you, did you talk about toothpaste at all in your book? Because I made the switch to non-fluoride toothpaste I get at the health store. I bought, I think it's Ben's or something. I don't remember the name of the brand exactly, but there's a lot of options. There's a whole wall of toothpaste in our health food store here in Rochester. But
That is a good question. And yeah, there is a part in the book about toothpaste, and I tell a little story in it. And yeah, I mean, if you actually look up the history of fluoride in toothpaste, I don't even want, I mean, it's kind of scary, and it's shame on them for ever putting that in there. But honestly, I was with I tried the non-fluoride toothpaste for about 2 months, and I actually started getting my teeth started hurting. And then I had an issue where I had to have a tooth removed, and I had a
Oh,
conversation with the dentist, and he advised me to go back to the fluoride. So yeah, as of now,
oh,
I'm using the fluoride. Maybe we have to have fluoride in order to, but I don't know. I mean, it's worth exploring. I mean, maybe I'll try a different kind of toothpaste again. But I when I went back to the fluoride toothpaste, my I have had no problems and my teeth don't hurt or anything like that. So I mean, I don't want to
sometimes I do.
recommend people to not
No,
use the fluoride. But yeah, if you talk to the dentist, he's gonna basically laugh you out the door. But I've heard that, and the fluoride it is toxic. I mean, it says right on the back of the toothpaste tube. If you read closely, it says this is a poison. If you swallow it, call poison control, or drink a lot of water to flush it out. And we've all had an instance where you're brushing your teeth and you're thinking about the wrong thing, and somehow you swallow some toothpaste. It is the worst feeling ever, and you're just gagging. But yeah, I don't know. It just cannot be suitable for human consumption. And yeah, you brush your teeth and you spit it out, but you're always going to be getting some of that in your system.
I use baking soda sometimes too to brush my teeth. I like using that. It's kind of an old trick uh, if you don't have toothpaste on hand. Another topic you raise in your book is the issue of bioengineered food, which is really, there's a lot of pending legislation around the country, around the world, really, where they've banned a lot of bioengineered food. And, you know, that's a hot button issue. Everybody's starting to recognize maybe we don't want like printed meat and computer generated foods. It's just nuts to me that they're thinking about growing meat in a petri dish, and of course the some people will always have their steak on hand, but for the rest of us, we're supposed to eat this awful stuff. What did you find about bioengineered food and what that does to make people unhealthy? People don't know how prevalent that is. How do
No,
you?
I learned a little bit about it several years back, and then I started like reading the ingredients, and it isn't in the ingredients; it's at the bottom. So, say like on Ritz crackers, it's on the underneath the ingredients, and it says contains a bioengineered food-like material. And yeah, I mean, it's basically a plastic nanoparticle. These companies they use it for preservatives and so it'll last longer, has longer shelf life. And they might even say that it might give it more flavor, but I think that it actually reduces the flavor. I don't know. I grew up eating Ritz. I loved Ritz, but if you ever have Ritz lately, you'll notice that they're almost stale, they're bland, and they're just
Yeah,
not that good. But yes, if you, it's actually depressing because almost everything in a box, everything in a can, everything in a bottle, every ketchup, every barbecue sauce, everything that you like, bagels, it all has it. Ice cream, and yeah, I'm not saying that like don't eat any of this stuff. I'm saying you should be aware, look at the ingredients, and try to minimize it, and eventually remove the stuff that you don't need. And there is ketchups that don't have it. That you got to go down to the either the organic or like the more commod ones. Um, but yeah, Heinz definitely has it. And yeah, it's just kind of scary. But yeah, I mean, obviously the panels of doctors, there's a consensus that it's just fine because, like you said earlier, that there's this like there's this like circle of the between the government and the medical community, and there must all be in on it together to go out there and tell the citizens that these products are just fine. Go ahead and eat the bioengineered food like material. But no, it's not food, it's a food like material, and they use it as the filler as well. And God created us in order to eat real food. So when you're putting these this fake food in, your body doesn't know what to do with it. And honestly, I mean, we could probably have a whole another interview on, over the last 50 years, we've watched the cancer rates increase dramatically. Like, I mean, it's just crazy. And, I'm not putting a finger on bioengineered food like material or this or that, but something is going on where they're, and same thing with, mental illness and mental retardation and autism and Down syndrome and all these things have increased. I don't care what anybody says. It's just a fact that, like, there's more people today that are disabled, more people today that have cancers and other health issues than even in the 70s and 80s. And as of right now, I mean, God bless my friends. I literally have 10 dear friends that I love, that I cherish, that are suffering with some form of cancer right now. And it just breaks my heart. And I'm not saying that's what it's from. Who knows? Maybe it is a coincidence. Maybe it's natural. But I mean, to me, like, something just isn't right. And I mentioned I have 10 friends that are suffering right now, but them are the people that are alive that are suffering. Over the last 5 years, I lost track, but there's literally 30 friends of mine that are gone. Not necessarily like close friends, but people that I know and my friends' parents and stuff like that. Just something just isn't right. And we need to get to the bottom of it. But I put my life on the fact that it has to do with what we eat, what we drink, the air we breathe, the consumption of drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, and yes, I do believe that there should be an independent investigation on that COVID vaccine. Because all this seems like the last 5 years, it cannot be a coincidence that the last 5 years these numbers have skyrocketed. And I might lose some people by saying that. And, I'm not an expert. All I'm saying is that there you can't call it a coincidence, and it's worthy of an investigation. I don't have the facts. I'm not smart enough to figure it out, but I am smart enough to figure out that in my entire life, I've probably known 30 people that have died of cancer, but in the last 5 years, it's been 30 people. So something is new, and it just makes me mad, and maybe I'm just kind of venting, and maybe I get sued or someone gets mad at me, but I guess we don't know what we don't know, but either way, it's sad. And God bless these people, not only my friends, but I'm sure you and other people watching this or have people that are suffering too. And it's really sad. And we can just take a moment and pray for them people and um, hope the best for them. You know.
I definitely agree. Everyone knows someone, and everyone knows someone. And I gotta say, I know your next very much more important interview is coming up at the top of the hour at 6 o'clock. So we had better call it a day for this interview, but I'd look forward to speaking to you about this again, about your aha moment that you mentioned in the book Incrementalism, your aha moment, and then the ways that your life improved, a multitude of ways that everything got better, because I'd have a lot to ask you about that and things to add too. So everybody remember, you can find his book pre-ordered for 99 cents at amazon.com. You can also go to nickcampanella.com to find all of his works. He, of course, has an author's page at amazon.com. Look up Nick Campanella and start following the author and buy all of his books. And especially if you're an aficionado of fiction works related to mystery, action thrillers, and crime, whodunits, you'll want to see his many works there on Amazon.com. Nick Campanella, I'll let you have the final hurrah here, and thanks for coming along today, Nick. Homegrown author here in Minnesota.
Well, I'll just say thanks again, Wes. I appreciate your time. And gosh, this 45 minutes felt like 5 minutes, when, we have a good conversation. And I appreciate all the people that spent 45 minutes of their day watching this. This is a lot of fun. And I'll tell you, my books are fun too, and this is my fifth book. And like I said, I like to write fiction. I like crime fiction, but I just wanted a chance to, kind of get out there and throw some nonfiction out there to people to see if they can, feel my passion for health and wellness. And incrementalism, a baby step guide to health and wellness, it's gonna help you. And there is people out there that are perfectly healthy and they don't have any problems, but you know what? They might have a friend or a loved one that wants to quit smoking or quit drinking or lose weight. And this book incrementalism works, and it's guaranteed or your money back. I guarantee if you read this book and you really inc- uh, implement these steps into your life, you will lose weight. You will be able to quit drinking. You will be able to quit smoking, and you're going to be healthier and happier, and you're going to have more money in your pocket. And that's just a guarantee. And I just hope everybody considers it. And like Wes said, you can stop at nickcampanella.com and see the work that I have. And I do have more fiction books coming out in the future. And there might even be a book about aliens someday, nonfiction.
I hope so, Nick. And I consider doing a book signing in Rochester. Maybe do a book tour and come down. We can rent a room and have an author's visit here in Rochester, and you could talk for a while about your books on stage. It might be fun hosting you here. Let's try to
You know,
set that up.
you mentioned that last time, and
Yeah,
I want to do that. So let's talk offline and at some point try to make that happen. That sounds like a lot of fun. I don't travel much, but I actually where did you see her
Rochester.
in Rochester?
Yeah,
So I haven't
yeah,
been down there for a
yeah.
long time. I played hockey down there
You-
a long time ago. It's quite the drive, but I think it'd be worth it. And I want to meet you in person and shake your hand and just sit down and have a good conversation and yeah, have a book signing and have some fun.
That's in the cards. Let's make it happen.
Okay, well, thank you. Have a good evening. Thanks to all the viewers. God bless.
Thank you, Nick. Bye.
See ya.
See ya.